Welcome to Pass It On, Connecting Soul to Soul, a podcast introducing you to courageous souls. These people are taking their spark in life and passing it on, lighting their corner of the world. I'm your host, Tammy Sturr, best-selling author, speaker, and CEO of Author My Day, a company inspiring courage. I interview people about how they exercise their courage muscle and use their story to inspire you to live with a courageous heart. Let's get started with today's guest. Welcome to Pass It On, the podcast where we are connecting soul to soul. And our guest today, Kim Sorrelle. Kim dedicated years to searching for the meaning of love. While crossing borders and cultures, she found love's true transformational meaning. These discoveries changed her life and are changing the lives of thousands around the world. As a writer, TV show host, podcast host, and speaker, Kim lives her message as she shares it worldwide. Her speaking engagements, books, and mentoring provide tools, proven strategies that can enable any of us to discover the true meaning of life, happiness, purpose. And one thing that I love about Kim is her book, Love Is. And this was my recommendation for 2023 books that is a must read. Kim, welcome.
Tammy, thank you so much for having me. I've been very excited to talk to you, and I love your podcast. You're doing an outstanding job. It's so good.
Oh, Kim, I just find you such a phenomenal person. And I always have to get my main question out of the way. And you'll notice I had a page in the book marked. And so this was the page. You probably know it's coming because I sent this out to the group that introduced us to each other. And you're in Venezuela and things aren't going your way after a big flood. And in your book, I'm going to read, it says, "That's it. Let's go to the palace." The palace? Mary was confused. For what? "We are going to see the president." Giving a look that said, this lady be crazy. Andreas, am I saying that right?
Mhm.
Andreas turned the car around and steered us in the right direction. A sizable guy in uniform with a great big gun stopped us at the entry. His stern look wasn't overly inviting. "Just tell him I am Kim Sorrelle and I am here to see the president." Kim, what is that about?
Well, I'll tell you, when I went on this love journey, right? Figuring out the true meaning of love, because I think you can put 12 people in a room and you'll get 12 different answers if you say, what is love? It just seems to be this question that has gone on for a millennium, like we just kind of don't know the real meaning of love. And so when I did this and devoted a year plus to figuring out the true meaning, I found out so many things. But one of the key things about love is that we are all walking on the same earth. We are all equal. There is no one greater than another. And your position, your bank account, the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, none of it matters. None of it makes anybody less than or more than anybody else. And so, sometimes you got to go to the top to get things done. And the worst that could happen is a no, right? The worst thing that can happen is somebody says no. And it takes about, I don't know, half a second to say the word no. Like it's in and it's out. So why not try? Why not try? And I was working on getting very important medical equipment and supplies that were so needed at refugee centers in Venezuela and Caracas after these huge floods that killed 60,000 people. And things get stuck on the dock and pillaged, stolen. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I needed a guarantee. I needed the word from the top that the stuff would go where it needed to go. So why not try?
What gives you that confidence? Where does that confidence come from?
Oh, I think it's a confidence that everyone should have, because we're all created in his image, right? Like I believe in God. I believe that God is love. I believe that we're created for a purpose. We're created in his image. And if you think about that, you know, created in his image, that we are all made to be exactly who we are. And we're all made to do the things that we want to do, that we feel like we're here to do. And we shouldn't let anybody take that away from us. And it can be so easy to look in a mirror and think you don't measure up, or step on a scale and that's a barometer of your worth. And those things have nothing to do with your value. The color of your skin, nothing has anything to do with your value. I think sometimes about like the Mona Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody, if they put the Mona Lisa up for sale, you know, who knows how much Elon or Jeff Bezos or somebody would pay for it, right? Millions, millions, millions of dollars. It's because it's a one of a kind masterpiece. And so are you. There's nobody who has ever been like you. Nobody ever will be like you. You are one of a kind. You are a one of a kind masterpiece. And if you realize that and soak that in and love yourself for who you are, who you're created to be, embrace that, then nothing should stand in your way. There should be no barriers between you and anybody. So you should have the confidence then to just talk to whoever and go do whatever, and know that you're equipped. You're already equipped. You already have what you need to go and get it done.
When you were saying that, I had this vision that's never happened before in my life. And what came to mind is when he created the world in 7 days, he created a world and we're made in his image. And it's like, so we're called to create a world and do the best we can, just like he did for us. Like, mind blown here for a moment there about
Oh,
being created in his image. And we are here to build this life.
I love that. I love that. And if we could get everybody on board with that, can you imagine? I mean, we'd be living in a different world overall. But even if, you know, sometimes we can look at things and go, oh my gosh, it takes so much to change the world, or it's impossible, you know, or it takes so much to change things in my family or things in my neighborhood or whatever. But it's not true, because it starts with one person. You know, all you have to worry about is yourself, right? All you have to think
Right.
about is yourself. And if you can live, like you said, I love the way you put that, Tammy. I've not really kind of thought about that either, but we create our own world. And if we realize we have that control, because there's plenty of things we don't control, right? Like,
Right.
you know, cancer, it just kind of comes, illnesses, whatever, accidents. There's things that we have no control over, but there's things that we do control. And we do control how we perceive the world, what we want to do in the world, how we want to be in the world.
Wow, Kim. Okay, now that we like dove deep, let's go back and introduce you more to my audience that may have not met you unless they went and got this book, which you do have another book out too. But Kim, tell us where you're joining us from today and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the Great White North, and Nebraska, you know what a little bit of cold in the winter is like. And I've been here my whole life. I love the area. I love West Michigan. I'm real close to Lake Michigan. It's like being by an ocean. I love it. And I've got lots of kids and lots of grandkids, and I have a dog, Arlo, not Jax, but I love him. And life is pretty great. And I was diagnosed with cancer several years ago. And 4 months later, my husband, who was the greatest husband ever, a wonderful, incredible man, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he passed away 6 weeks after that. And that's when I decided I needed to go figure out what love is, because I really wanted to honor him, Tammy. I wanted to make sure that I was living my life the way I should live my life, because he was great. And he was 51, I was 47, 51 years old. And I have never begrudged him, because he was great. We had a great marriage. He was a wonderful man. He was wonderful to everyone who met him, loved him. And to go to heaven and not pay another bill or get sick again at 51, That's okay. Good for him. Sad for me, but good for him. But I wanted to make sure I was doing this life right. So I decided I'd dedicate a year to figuring out the true meaning of love. And it blew my mind.
Mm, absolutely. Kim, when you talk about this, and I think about different people that have lost a spouse in life, so often they almost feel like if they go live, that it's almost disrespecting them that they went on without them. Yet I watch the healthiest of you that go through that grief and go on to live. Tell me a little bit about that mindset and that courage, especially because you are probably judged by some people, and just really stepping into that journey of what you needed to do with that grief.
Yes, well, I think that's so true. You see people that are kind of stuck in grief, right? Like can't quite get on top of it. It's not like you ever get over it. In fact, I heard this great analogy just yesterday, I think. I thought, God, this is so good. And it was if it, losing somebody close to you, somebody you love and adore, a parent, a child, a sibling, a spouse, whoever it may be, you it never goes away. Like you will always remember that person, and that person helped shape you and was a part of your life. But it's like breaking your leg and the doctor not fixing it quite right. You can still walk, but you're not walking quite the same. You've got a reminder all the time. You've got this reminder that you broke your leg. You have a reminder that you've lost somebody. So it can be easy to kind of get stuck in it and not get on top of it. But I give you permission, whoever is out there. Sometimes I think that's what we need
Right.
is someone to say, I give you permission to live. Because yeah, it stinks. Like I'd rather be in Hawaii with my husband right now, or whatever. Like that would be great, but it's not a choice I have. It's not a choice I have. And so I have an incredible life. I'm very happy and have this wonderful, incredible life, great people in my life like you. And I think it is a mindset, but it's also permission. It's okay. It is okay to live again. It's okay to laugh again. And if you put yourself in the other person's shoes, a little difficult to do, but if you were the one that was frolicking in heaven, certainly you would not want those that are still here doing this thing to be unhappy. You'd want the opposite of that. You'd want them to be happy and joyful and certainly remember. But hearing stories and all of that kind of thing are the greatest things. People sometimes say they don't know what to say, they don't know how to act around somebody, right? Well, tell a story. I love hearing stories about my husband. I love it and love telling stories about my husband. So it is a mindset, but one that anybody can have. It's an easy transition in your mind to just realize that life continues and you might as well continue with
Well, and when you're picturing your loved one frolicking in heaven,
it.
like, why not? You know? And for those of us that believe our loved ones can see us from heaven, why not to give them the greatest entertainment of each day that you're living here on earth until you meet again?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, so that is so beautiful. Kim, when you went on this journey to find what love is, um, did the journey find you or did you find the journey?
Nobody has ever asked me that before, and that is a great question. I think probably a combination of both. I determined that I was going to do this. I took this 2,000-year-old poem that you hear at every wedding. Your eyes kind of glaze over because you hear it so often, right? Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. And I decided I'd take one word or phrase a month and figure out, well, what is love that is patient? What does that even mean? What is love that is kind? And as I did it, taking a month, it took me till the end of every month, every single month. It took me to the very end of looking for it, looking what love is patient, looking for it before God hit me over the head with something. And then I went, oh, now I get it. I finally get it. And so I think it was a combination of both. I was seeking it, but it also was seeking me.
So, were you already in Haiti when the journey found you, or was going to Haiti what you needed to do to look for love?
Well, I was already in Haiti because when I was able to go back to work physically after losing my husband, and I still had cancer stuff to go through, but when I was ready to go back to work, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I thought I'd take my time, and I took a job as part-time bookkeeper of a nonprofit organization that my father and I had started 10 years before, and a guy was running. And then 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people. So within 2 weeks of that, I was boots on the ground, and I was in Haiti for at least part of every month for the next several years. So doing it in Haiti, I was there. And I think because I did it in Haiti and Dominican Republic, a couple of places, but because I was there, I think it gave there's no distractions, or there's different distractions, I guess, but also kind of no distractions. Everyone's just not on their phone all the time. You don't see a lot of electricity, so there's not a lot of television going on. That kind of thing isn't happening, and so those kind of distractions aren't there. So you have more time in a place like Haiti to be alone and really think about things. And so even with people, it's different than being in the hustle bustle of McDonald's drive-through and everything fast and right now US. And so I was glad that that's where my journey was.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, you're in Haiti. These people are coming over to help. You have a male pastor come over and insist that you sleep outside while he sleeps inside. How did you not slug him?
Well, really, it was my fault. It was my fault. There were these 8 men that came over from the US to see this water project that I'd been working on to see if they wanted to be involved. And I brought 2 Haitian friends along. And when we got to where we were staying out in the countryside, there were only 2 rooms, and each had 4 twin-size beds, and 8 Americans, 2 Haitian men, and me. And so he called me over and said, Kim, can I talk to you? I'm like, sure. And he said, did you see the rooms? And I'm thinking, buddy, there's nothing else to see. And then I thought, oh, he's going to think I want my own room. So I'll say, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And then he'll say, no, no, no. If anyone should sleep inside, it should be you. And I'll say, well, we can move the beds around. I don't care if there's other people in my room. And he'll go, good, because there's only so much space. So I said, well, it's okay. I'll sleep outside. And he said, oh, good, good. That's good, because we have men on the trip that would not be comfortable with a woman in their room. And so I offered to sleep outside. So really it was my fault. I thought I was letting him off the hook, and I guess in the end I let him off the hook because I slept outside with the tarantulas and chupacabras or whatever's lurking in the bushes of 80.
Please tell me you look for different men in your life now.
What's funny is now I feel like I could literally sleep anywhere in the world, on anything, anywhere, and be perfectly comfortable. I when you're uncomfortable, sometimes those are the greatest times of learning, right? Like that particular month I was working on Love Keeps No Record of Wrongs, and I was dreading that because I thought, well, you might forgive, but you sure don't forget the things that happened to you. So I wasn't excited about learning what that meant, and I didn't know that I could learn what that meant. And man, sleeping outside, I learned exactly what that meant. And so the uncomfortable moments can be the greatest moments. Sometimes we push away from those and we go, oh, we don't ever want to be uncomfortable. Well, that's when you grow. That's when you grow. And it was 5 nights of my entire life. I don't know how many nights, I'd have to get out a calculator, but however many nights I've lived so far, it was 5 nights of sleeping outside. So uh, it's okay. Times come and times go, but you can get through it, get through all of it.
You just amaze me. Just amaze me. Um, is there a difference in the love that you discovered in Haiti versus the love you're discovering at this point in your life now?
Well, I think it's just growing. I think one of the biggest things that I learned about love is that it's not an emotion or a feeling. I think so often that's what we think, that we can fall in love, fall out of love, and really that's more infatuation, or there's probably another word for that. But love is not an emotion. If you watch a scary movie, Tammy, I don't know about you, but I go to bed that night, I hear every creak, every bump, every
Mm-hmm.
bang, and I'm scared, right? I'm fearful. Well, fear is an emotion, but the next night I'm better, and the night after that, better yet. And so fear comes and goes. You don't live in fear. But love does not come and go. Love is who you are. Love is walking, talking, living, breathing. Love is all encompassing, and it's who you are. And then how you decide to walk in love, how you decide to live love is entirely up to you. So I think, as I learned that, that was big for me, that love, love is so much more than what I thought it was, but it's also so much easier than what I thought it was in so many ways. But I practice it, right? Like this is what I live. I live love, and I try to live love better today than I did yesterday. And so going on the journey changed everything. But yes, I'm growing in love all the time.
Wow. I love how that idea of love grows and that we're each love. There was a speaker I heard last year named is Stacy Wallace with Fueled by Fire, and she put a challenge to all of us that were listening to her. And she said, take your name in the Bible verses in Corinthians and or Second Corinthians and put your name where it says love. So then it was Tammy is patient, Tammy or Kim is kind, and then live that way, not just with a spouse or the romantic love, but live your life that way and every day reflect on that. Can you put your name in those Bible verses and it stands out for you?
I love that. That is so good. That's really good. And I think too, we sometimes feel like we only want to love people that love us back.
Right,
Or we only want to give love if we're going to get it in return, right?
right,
Because we're kind of taught that love's a two-way street. But it's not. Love isn't a transaction. It's not like I give you money, you give me a bouquet of flowers, whatever. That's a transaction. Love is not a transaction. Love is 100% on you, because you have no control over anybody else but yourself. You only control yourself. Sometimes I think we want to control other people, but we don't. We don't. If you think about bringing a baby home from the hospital and you've got total control, right? You decide when the baby eats, when the baby takes a nap, when the baby has a bath. But 6, 7 months later, your Tupperware is all over the kitchen floor, pots and pans are banging. You realize you've lost control, and I promise you, you will never get control back again. We don't control anybody but ourselves. So love is something you do without expectation of anything in return. Zero expectation. So you give love, period. You love because that's what love is, period, without expecting it in return. And love is magical in that quite often it does come back to you, but often not the way you might expect. And so if you're expecting love in return, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure, right? And loneliness. So just giving love is the freest, most wonderful way to live, is to just love everybody. Let everybody be who they believe they're created to be. You live who you believe you're created to be, and realize we're all different, and it's good we're all different. But no judgment, no condemnation, just love. It's really our only job, right? I mean, Jesus said it
right,
how many times? Love your neighbor as yourself. Love yourself. Love you. Love the you that God created in his image. Love everybody else who's also created in his image, and love God. That's all we have to do. It's way back in Leviticus. between the, don't eat hoofed animals and sleep in a tent at a certain time of the month, women, is love your neighbor and love yourself. So it's a constant with God. It's not something Jesus brought. It's something from the very beginning. That's what God wants us to do, is just to love. And so that's all we have to do. It's really our only job.
Kim, when I go talk to people, especially teenagers, about increasing their self-esteem, I always give this stat that if you get a gift, your self-esteem raises for like 2-ish hours on average. But if you give a gift, or especially if you help somebody, like maybe you helped somebody in a wheelchair across the street or with a cane or something like that, your self-esteem goes up for up to 2 weeks on average.
Mm,
And now, as I'm sitting here listening to you describe love and that we're each love, what is coming through my mind is our self esteem, I'm thinking in theory, increases when we love.
hmm
And when we
Absolutely.
wait for love, it's going to go down.
hmm
But if we're just continually giving love, and I'm not saying without boundaries and like well, I guess not be smart about love because I don't know that love is smart. But at the same time, recognize love. Like you said, you're not looking for a transaction there.
Right, right, right. And I think there can be confusion sometimes, right?
Right.
Um, like you're what you said is beautiful, and love with boundaries. Boundaries are boundaries, and boundaries need to be put in place, but sometimes love is absolutely involved in that. And it can be easy to think, oh gosh, because I love, I have to forgive. Because I love, I have to keep staying in this horrible relationship, because love would not say that. Love would say, if you are in a relationship that is hurting you physically, emotionally, whatever it happens to be, with a spouse, with a neighbor, with a friend, run, get out of the relationship. Because if you stay, that's not love. Because if you stay, you're allowing that person to remain in that behavior and not do anything to change the behavior that shouldn't exist to begin with. So love would say, get out and give space, put a boundary, put up those boundaries. And sometimes you need to do that. And that's good. That's a good thing. That's not a negative thing. And that is love.
Right. Absolutely. Because sometimes with us being present, it doesn't allow that person to go through what they need to, whether it's to love themselves or love others.
Absolutely.
There was a speaker I heard this weekend. Jamie Kern Lima launched her big book on Worthy, and I don't know if you followed kind of that movement, but she brought in 12 hours worth of speakers on Saturday. And one of the speakers, and I apologize because I can't remember his name, but he was talking about self love. And the reason that we love it, like our child, isn't because they're athletic or because they have blue eyes or whatever. We love our child because they're ours. I love Jax, my dog, not because he's great, because he's naughty a lot of times, but because he's mine. And then they started talking about, why do you love yourself? Because you're yours. And the
Mm.
only thing that you will have your entire life is yourself. So, talk to me a little bit about self love.
Well, I think over the years, self-love has gotten a bad rap
Mm-hmm.
because people will associate self-love with selfish. And and it's kind of the opposite of selfish. If you want to be the best you can be for others, completely selfless, be the best you can be for others, you have to start by loving yourself. You can't fully love other people if you don't love yourself. If you don't love yourself, then things like envy come into play, pride, jealousies come into play, things that are not love can come into play. Because why would you love somebody else? Why would you love your friend and not love yourself? And how can you fully love whoever, your spouse, if you don't love yourself? Because you'd be comparing because there's a reason why you don't love yourself. There's a reason that you've made up, that you've put in your own mind why you don't love yourself. So self-love is the greatest gift you can give the world. It is the greatest thing that you can possibly do is love fully, completely, embrace, love yourself, because then you'll be the best version of yourself. And the best version of yourself will do the best things in the world. So the whole selfish or the whole I'm not worthy or the whole anything else we want to put in our heads need to leave. You need to take that stuff, put it in the trash can and set it on fire, because that is not how God wants you to live. And that's not how you should live. Love yourself. Love yourself. You're incredible. You're a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Recognize that and love the person that you are.
Absolutely. Oh, how awesome. Kim, you've operated life-saving and life-altering missions all across the globe. Often you're in terrible conditions, whether that's corruption or just a lack of everything, except maybe from those Haiti kids. It sounds like there was a lot of hugs going on there. Um, how did you decide if a decision in those situations was stupid or if it was courageous? Like, how do you make those decisions in a way that brings out the courage?
Yeah, well, I've made a lot of stupid decisions. And my husband used to say that I used to say the truth, that I'm optimistic and he was pessimistic. But he would say that he was a realist and that I live in la la land. And so I look for the good to happen. And so I've made so many mistakes along the way, and gotten in trouble, I'm fortunately never in jail. That's a good thing. Hopefully that'll never happen. But I can put my foot in my mouth, or as I plow forward and try to get things done. But I think a lot of it that is helpful is recognizing that Haitians don't want to be Americans, but people from Burkina Faso, Kenya, they don't want to be Americans. They want to be Haitians. They want to be Burkina Faso. They want to be Kenyan. And so oftentimes as Americans, we can think, well, we know how to do it. We can go build that building better. We can go, make something happen, whatever. But different cultures are different, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And when you're going into somebody else's culture, into their country, into their life, the things that have gotten me in trouble is when I've tried to Americanize something,
Hmm.
because that's not necessarily what they're looking for. So often it can be so easy to go, oh my gosh, you know what you guys need? You need this farm, because then you'll grow this plant and then you'll do this and that. But if you ask them, what do you need? What's first on your list? It might be shelter. It might be a roof over it might be clothes for their kids. I mean, it could be anything, right? And people know their needs better than you do, better than I do. And so to be humble and just realize that I don't know everything. And I feel like the older I get, the more I realize the less I know. And so go in humbly and go, well, how can I serve? Go in with a heart of service. And that then gets me in the least amount of trouble.
Wow, that is powerful. That is so powerful. I'm reading a book right now, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And like what you're saying absolutely captures where I'm at in the book so far about it really has to be about the other person. And you've said this from the beginning, it's our life for us, but it's their life for them. And
Mm,
absolutely, of course, they want what's best for them and, huh, and their loved ones, right?
right.
We are so
Yeah.
motivated by our loved ones. Um, how do you define courage and why does courage matter?
I think love has a lot to do with courage, really. Uh, courage is just being afraid of something and doing it anyway, right? And so the things that you might be afraid of but do anyway might be going and serving even in the soup kitchen and in your local town because you've not done it before. You know, sometimes fear comes from the unknown, right? But you do it anyway. You do it anyway. And when you do that, when you step into the courage, you step into power. You step into your own power, which I think too, we don't recognize that we have. We can look at other people and go, well, they've got courage, or, oh, well, geez, yeah, she can do anything, he can do anything, but you can do anything. The reality is you can do anything. All the limitations that we have, we put on ourselves or other people have put on us, but they're not from God. God, we're limitless as far as God's concerned. And so you might look to others and go, wow, they're courageous. But instead of thinking you can't be that person, or instead of wishing you were that, just go be it. Just go be it. Because the more you walk in courage, the more courageous you become. And
Mm.
then the next time it's easier. And the next time it's easier.
Oh, very powerful. So when you look at your cancer journey that you went on as you fought cancer and as you supported your husband in his fight against cancer, where did courage fit into that? And what pulled you through?
Yeah, wow. I think it's forced courage
Okay.
because you don't have a choice, right? Like the night before my double mastectomy, like that's not a night that you think is all happy. You know, I was wondering how I was going to get through, thinking what was going to happen the next morning. And so I threw a party. I threw a big party. My kids helped me throw it. We had food, we had a DJ, we were dancing, a lot of people came, and it was my NB party. I called it New Boob Party. And and celebrating life with others took my mind off of what was going to happen the next day. And so, you know, you have to go through things whether you want to or not, which is I think a different kind of courage probably than doing it, but and you don't necessarily have to, but you do it anyway. And so, yeah, I mean, and prayer was huge. Like when my husband was diagnosed, we knew what that diagnosis meant. And the doctor was real with us. And he was 51 and 6'3" and 175 pounds and very active and ate great, even though he said that donuts were the fifth food group. Otherwise, he really ate great and he was fit. And so the doctor said, you're young, you're fit, you know, you probably a year. And it ended up being 6 weeks. But when we walked out of the doctor's office, our prayer was, Lord, either heal him like you did, the lame, the blind, the deaf, or the greatest, which is heaven, which I think we discount that sometimes. We think the greatest healing is a physical healing on earth. Well, no, the greatest healing is the prize. It's eternal life. It's heaven. And so, but please don't let him suffer. That was our prayer. Please don't let him suffer. And God honored that prayer.
Mm.
And so I think knowing that we weren't alone, knowing that we had Jesus on our side, knowing what was waiting for my husband, gave us courage.
I think it's very courageous that you found the blessing in the burden.
Well, you gotta make the choices, right? You gotta choose. I would have people say to me, Tammy, right after I was diagnosed, and then when Steve was diagnosed, oh my gosh, why you? You know, you do this for other people, you do that, you're this, you're that. And my response was always, well, why not me? You know, why would I be immune? No, nobody's immune. It can happen anytime to anyone. You know, they don't have the whole cancer thing figured out yet, or other illnesses or accidents or other things that can happen. So instead of why me, it was, well, why not me? You know, I don't think God's in heaven going, you stole that pack of gum when you were in 6th grade. So when you're 47, you're getting breast cancer. I don't think God operates that way. We have a chink in our DNA. We're predisposed to different things that may or may not show themselves, and you don't know when they will or won't. And so things can happen to anyone, and then you have a choice on how you're going to deal with it, how you're going to face it, and how you're going to live through it. Live, not just breathe and not just go on, but really live through it.
Well, speaking of living through it, so the new boob party, like what was your dance song? Like, I have got to rock out to this song before I go through this tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it was probably apple bottom jeans. I love to line dance, and I know line dance to that song. So a lot of the songs were line dance songs, but it was like apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. Yeah, whatever. So anyway, that was probably my go-to that night.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Um, what will be better in the world because Kim was here?
Wow, Tammy. Uh, that's deep. That's good. I hope a lot of things. I mean, I hope I have impact on the world. I hope that as many people as possible understand love better and understand how to live it better and pass it on to others and pass it on and pass it on, because the whole world would be a different place if we knew how to really love. And so uh, that certainly is my hope, that people just love each other, and don't judge and don't condemn. And so hopefully I'll be leaving behind people that will be living that.
Very cool. So, do you know the song Pass It On? It only takes a spark to get a fire
Yes,
going. I
yes,
figure
yes.
between church and 4-H, because you had said you were a 4-H alum.
Yeah, I'm a 4-H alum. Yes,
And I'm
yes.
like, yeah, between those two, some point there had to be some campfire, right? Where
Oh
you were
yeah.
singing Pass It On. And
Oh yeah. Yep. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. Soon all those around will warm up and it's glowing. Yeah.
and that's such a great legacy when you think about what are people warming up to because of Kim. They're warming up because to love.
Yeah.
That's so neat.
Right. Right. But that could be any of us. That could
Right.
be any of us. And I always think too, Tammy, the people that you're drawn to, the people that you want to be around, there's something about them that makes them so that you want to be around them, right? So you want to
Mhm.
hang with them, and makes you smile when you see them. And I think it's love. I think that that's what it is. That's the magnet
Mhm.
that draws people in, is the love that you pour out, the authentic, real love that you pour out. So the people that are the most loving, I think, are the magnets, and that could be any of us.
Wow. I'm thinking about yesterday. We were going to the park. I had my grandkids for a gammy camp day, and my dog was whining in the van. And both the kids, who are 3 and 5 right now, started saying, well, maybe he's nervous being in a different vehicle or a different car than what he's used to. Maybe he can't see out the window and it's making him sad. And I just thought about that, like you said, and I didn't think about it, but I was thinking about empathy, but they were pouring out love in that moment. And it's probably one of the most fun times we've ever had at the park. And I'm thinking probably because they were in such a state of love, given that empathy to the dog, that I don't know that we fought. Like, I don't think there were any sibling fights as I think about that at the park yesterday because it started
Wow.
with love.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's cool. Yeah,
Kim,
love is pretty cool.
Kim, what's next?
Oh my goodness. I'm writing a couple books, and I'm speaking, and I'm trying to spread the word as much as I can. And I'm interviewing a lot of people, and just, I'm not sure entirely what's next. But I'm open to whatever it is. You know, it can be so easy to plan. There are people that are planners and they want to know, you know, a year from now I have vacation, you know, in January, I have no idea. I don't have any idea. I I plan and I dream, uh but I'm open. I'm open to whatever it is, wherever God leads me, whatever it is God has for me. That's what I want to walk. That's the doors I want to walk through.
How do you get the courage to say yes to God?
Well, I'll tell you what, God is awful hard to say no to. You think about it. Because he's like God. And so you know, it's almost like when you're a child and your dad says, it's bedtime, you probably don't waste time, or you shouldn't, and you go to bed. And if you don't, your earthly father might punish you. I don't think that God punishes you, but I think if you don't say yes, if you say no, you're still going to be alive, but taking a different path and not the best path for you. Like things could have been better if you would have stopped and really listened to God and then walked his way.
Yeah. When I do a talk called The Touch of the Master's Hand, based off of a poem that I'm sure you're familiar with, one of the things I always ask the audience is, what are you sending to God? What are you sending to voicemail when God calls? And then how do you get that out and have the courage and the confidence to answer that call instead of send him to voicemail? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I love that question. That's, you know, it's interesting, right? Because so much of it has to do with listening. I mean, I was raised Catholic, and I've believed in God my whole life and believed in Jesus and whatever, and I loved the so much about the Catholic faith. But then I went to an Assembly of God church, then I went to a non-denominational, and so, you know, I'm kind of in everything. And but I like it that I'm open to anything, anywhere, right? But we pray, and so often when we pray, we're doing all the talking and none of the listening.
right.
And and I have found that if I sit down with paper and pencil and stop and pray, Lord, just talk to me, and then write what comes in my head, that that's a that works for me to listen to God that way.
I've been waiting. There was a time earlier in our conversation that I had some God bumps pop up, but that one got me like all over the body. That idea of just taking that pen, which that's my company name. It's Author My Day. And it started for my prayer, Author My Day, Lord.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
just trusting. And I don't know if you know this, the reason I met you is because I'd been telling God how to do his job.
I wondered who told God how to do his job. Now
That
I know.
was me. And that morning, I was on a phone call with somebody that I thought I had a contract with. And they're like, oh, sorry, we forgot to put that on the agenda. And it was going to cut my income in less than half of what I was expecting for that year.
Oh,
And I wouldn't have an answer for another 6 months if they were going to be able to pick the contract back up.
wow.
And I was lost because I had blocked out like half of the year just to work on this contract. And now I'm sitting there, not no income, not even the next day, let alone the next 6 months.
Mm.
And I just looked up and I'm like, whatever you ask of me, I will say yes. And that's when I got a call saying, hey, we saw that you downloaded this application for a retreat. That's how I met you.
Ah, I love it. I love
Because
it.
I said,
Isn't God cool?
what?
Isn't
Isn't
God cool?
right? God is so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And like you said, the father, if you think about a father, and they're not going to punish you, but they're going to help you learn discipline in life.
Hmm.
And Definitely stop telling God how to do his job. But anyway, Kim, thank you for being my guest. I just feel such a heart to heart connection with you. I have since I met you. You are such a builder of people and a builder of people's hearts and bringing them out. Thank you.
Mm. Oh gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I think the reason we connected from the second we met is because we're such kindred spirits. We share a heart. And so I
Absolutely.
appreciate you so much. And thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for listening and being inspired to exercise your own courage muscle. Please leave us a rating on whatever platform you are listening. For even more, you can go to www.authormyday.com. Remember, you only have this one life, this one day, so always author your day. Thanks for listening to Pass It On, connecting soul to soul.